Welcome to All Things Work. I'm your host, Ann Sparacco. Today, we're diving into the best practices in organizing and communicating all of those wonderful benefits available to your employees, plus different ways to leverage them as a form of engagement as well. So, joining us to talk about this is Keren Maldonado, Director of Total Rewards with SHRM. Welcome, Keren, to All Things Work.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Anne.
We're really excited to have you, especially with your really great experience and your background with SHRM. It's just wonderful to get this insight here today. So, tell us a little bit about your professional background. What exactly drew you to Total Rewards?
So I started my career looking at human resources in general, but my first job was actually with a consulting firm that was doing salary surveys. And over that, then the consulting piece went into job evaluation and job analysis and organizational design. So I definitely was something that I enjoyed. And working with a consultant gave me the opportunity to see pieces of the whole continuum of looking at designing an organization and establishing levels, establishing salary ranges, and even looking at benchmarking and market data. And that was fascinating. And my next step was definitely going into a compensation role at a company locally back in Puerto Rico, where I started my career. And from there, I mean, I have been doing compensation benefits in Puerto Rico, then moving to the US and doing it for multiple countries around the world. And it's something that has fascinated me. And I didn't really came bored with it just because every other year or so, I needed to learn it all over again for a different country. So that helped me maintain the interest in the profession and made it very viable because you have to learn to open yourself to learning about the culture, about what makes sense and what is relevant in a particular country versus the other.
That's the unique challenge about, global type work. You're not just dealing with so many different things, but you have to truly understand it and educate yourself. So I love that, you're just continuing to learn every day in Total Rewards in the role. So prior to your time with SHRM, you spent quite a few years working with Johnson and Johnson. You have a lot of experience, like you said, in global benefits and so much more. I feel like you wore a lot of hats. So how has your experience shaped your approach to helping employees learn about, understand, and get the most out of the total rewards available to them?
Listen, being in multiple countries humbles yourself, right? Like makes you to be very open and very flexible because what works for you in your country doesn't mean that it's going to be what attracts employees in another country. Some countries provide entitlements to employees already for things that we don't necessarily have entitlement to in the US. So it's not relevant to them if you come to them sometimes with a basic medical plan that they don't need, right? They are more interested in other aspects and maybe looking at retirement, or maybe it's more about helping them with their family needs. So you need to go into your role, understanding your audience, understanding your talent, that the talent that you need to attract and what is relevant to them. It may be that you have a workforce that is mainly generationally, in one particular set of years, right? And that may require a different set of focus or a benefit focus than another particular organization. So being aware of the cultural differences and the differences between countries and what was important for the talent in each market allowed me and helped me to, even when I'm focused in the US, try to understand what makes sense and what they want. And trying to build packages or build compensation and rewards around what is relevant to that particular talent.
Yeah, education is key here, and communication is key as well, which comes, so important in when it comes to the, benefits guide. And so what are some of the critical elements to include when creating, or even updating your organization's benefits guide?
So the organization's benefits guide, it's like the benefits section is probably only one of the employee guide that you want and you prepare. You want to make sure that you start with the elements of your culture, right? You want to make sure that the vision, the mission, the purpose, that if you have principles, guiding principles, that employees understand who they are becoming, who they are when they are in this organization. You want your policies there, your attendance policy, all the way to how to use AI in this data and age. You want to include your benefits, and your benefits need to be organized in a way that it's relevant to people, right? You may want to start with your mayor benefits or organizing because what is health and welfare versus what is retirement versus what are perquisites. But it just needs to be organized in a way that employees understand and go can easily access that. You should also use very simple language. Don't overcomplicate things. These are people that will read this once, maybe when they need it again. So it needs to be something that it's appealing and clear and simple to understand. You want to also, it's very critical to have policies related to leaves, and don't forget forms and even links, because you may not be the one writing everything in that handbook. It will be probably links to where to go to. Remember that, we are moving from having books and now to everything on with technology and platforms. So that's how we need to make sure that we think about it so it's relevant to people.
We're in the digital age now, that's for
Right.
sure. So you talked about making it clear, easy to understand. Obviously, a lot of people like I'm one of those people, I'll read it. I might skim through it really quickly just to get the gist of it, but I have to go back in order to really understand it because there's just so much detail that can go into the benefits guide. So when it comes to accessibility, making sure somebody can go back to it or get the different types of forms, what are some of the things you recommend prioritizing and organizing when it comes to information to be accessible, just easy to get?
Yeah, I think that, you want to use your organizational portals and make sure that there is that spot where people know where to go for all things their employment or all things them, right? And just make, I think that we need to think in this digital era that, the way that the best apps that work for us are those where we don't need to do too many clicks. So you need to make sure that things are very present. But by just starting with where to go, that first click, you can then go open, a variety of places where people then go to wherever it's needed. And I would say that the least words that you use, probably the easy it is to actually guide people through. And I will tell you that if you don't necessarily have the means to do a good portal, employee portal, just talk to your benefit providers. Many of them have done all the work for you, and all you need is for people to know where to click, like where to go, and with one click, just do that transfer into the relevant website. So those are things that I would consider are most important. But today, one of the things that I tell my employees at Shroom is that, if you in your phones, you can create groups, right? Of apps, and there you can put all the apps for all the benefits that you have, and then you have them.
And just taking a side note here, I know at SHRM, we're reminded a lot about the types of benefits that we have, which is really great. I mean, we even had this little benefits fair where you could go from table to table to truly understand and kind of relearn from your original benefits guide what you have accessible to you. Do you find that, a successful strategy, if employers can really try to do that?
Those employers who are using offices definitely should engage. Your benefit providers will not necessarily charge for any of that. So you can bring them. And I think that, that face to face interaction sometimes makes a lot of sense. People will take that opportunity to go and visit with that vendor for or that benefit. But I also have done the same fairs virtually. There are many platforms where you can actually have a week of focusing on benefits and bringing all your benefit providers into into kind of a virtual health fair, and that is something that you should do. But you can also think about moments throughout the year of when things are important for people. So in open enrollment, you focus on the health and welfare. Maybe when you pay a bonus, then you bring and you highlight the retirement benefits or the savings benefits, right? The financial wellness benefits that you maybe when people go like when it's more summertime, maybe that's when you highlight AAP or employee programs.
I feel like some people when they especially when they start a job, they'll look at the benefits, but they get really excited when they see like, "Oh, I get a discount here for I just always find that, just kinda a little funny because, it's like, "Oh, yeah, but look at the health insurance you get." And so, it's important to really focus on, all the aspects, and I love that you shared different ways to communicate based on, where your workforce is, like you said, there's not everybody's in the office, so it's important to effectively communicate on all different types of platforms. So I absolutely love that, and but you talked about remote, hybrid, and in person. So, what are some other common barriers employees face when trying to find or even utilize these types of benefits?
I would say that employees don't necessarily spend too much time understanding them. And then when they need them, they are struggling to try to navigate how to use the benefit, or sometimes don't even remember that they have those benefits. When sometimes organizations are thriving, they want to provide all these benefits to employees, and the problem is that the more you provide, you feel very proud of it as an employer, but that may be confusing to employees too. So that's why, in your communication and in your portals, you need to be you need to target. This is like marketing all the time, applying marketing techniques in order to make sure that people remember what they have.
And it's easy, especially for a first time employee at said company, to truly dig into it because they're trying to just get started, get ready for that first day. They're thinking about who's my boss, who's my coworkers, and they're trying to just juggle all this new information. So it is really essential for that employee to take the time to really sit down, go over the benefits guide, and just maybe write down some questions they may have for the first couple of days, maybe their orientation, right?
Yes, and I think that that's why I like doing annual health fairs, and I like to do annual activities. And my wellness program, for example, incorporates having to touch, like, you need to be engaged with certain benefits throughout the year, and then we give you a reward at the end. So I think that, there are different ways in which you can remind employees that it's like, yeah, when you started, you spend time trying to understand your benefits, trying to make choices, but throughout the year, we are going to remind you again. And after 2 years in the job and having the same benefits, we want to make sure that you remember what are those.
We talked about a couple strategies. So how do you recommend balancing that formal communication with that more creative or engaging methods to keep employees informed and up to date on throughout the year or any changes throughout their career at the company?
You said something very important, formal communication. I mean, there are
Right.
certain things that you have to do that are requirements. Summary plan descriptions, forms that need to be there. And those things, you can place in the website. You can have the different benefit provider have them on their website, and you just need to make sure that people know where to get them. But at the end of the day, the span of attention that people have when you try to communicate, it's short. So you want to give as much as possible in visual way, right? It has to be visual. It could be, I mean, you can, if there's a benefit that you want to promote more than in a particular year, maybe you create a whole game around it and have people team and you play, I don't know, whatever game, that Jeopardy or something that can actually make people search, find, learn, right? And then win. You should rely on your benefit providers too. I mean, many of them come with free educational hours that you should leverage. And you don't have to do everything yourself. I love to partner, and one of the things that I look at when I choose a new benefit or try to improve a benefit is what is the type of support that that provider will give me to ensure that employees engage, understand, use the benefit to the best of their, you know, to the best of what they can do with that.
To tie a little bow on our organization information and effectively communicating these benefits, inclusion and inclusivity within an organization for a healthy workplace culture as well is just so important. So, how do you ensure inclusivity and relevance across different roles and demographics? Like pulling in your kind of your global experience here, how do you kind of bring that to fruition?
You have to understand, your talent base. And one of the things that the providers need to give you is some statistics of how people are using their benefits, what are, and when you try to understand it by demographics or by different ways in which you can slice and dice your organization, you can identify if there is a particular group that is not, that feels that they're not necessarily getting what they need.
Right.
Maybe, there could be a situation where, that you have a number of, let's say, births coming, people going on
Right.
maternity. So maybe that gives you some insight that there needs to be a little bit of focus on, those parental leaves or benefits, or the whole benefit of, how to prepare for a newborn, or how to prepare to grow your family. When I also am looking lately at benefits, if the benefit provider can provide services across multiple countries, that's awesome. Financial wellness, for example, is one where I found that there's some organizations that do extend that benefit across, and we have for people, we have a good size of staff in India and the Middle East, and they would engage with them, and they get the same. So now I can announce a new benefit worldwide. I don't need to tailor things too much because they will help me with the tailoring based on the country, but then it's a benefit that I can provide globally. EAP is another one. This is, right now, people need support in many areas: financially, financial wellness, health, physical health, mental health, and your energy, right? And those things are the same over and over in each country around the world. And we have companies that actually provide those services globally. And again, they will make sure that they provide it based on that, what that culture is used to or needs or it's appreciative of. So those are ways in which you can ensure that around the world, or that you are being inclusive, understand your audience, understand your talent base, but understand also who's using it, who's not, and why.
Right, I love that. And so we mentioned how benefits could also be, used for leveraging employee engagement, and that could even start out right with the recruitment process and then keeping that good talent within your own company. So how can companies effectively use their benefits package to really try to boost that employee engagement?
Yes. One thing that I like to do is I want to make sure that our recruiters, right, understand the benefits. That's a group that needs that they are the first level of interaction with a prospect candidate. And you know, when you get to the point where you think you found the right talent for your organization, you wanna attract them, and attracting them is not only about cash, it's about what are the things that are important to you that will make you come and make you consider us as an employer. What is happening in your life? So those things are good to understand, so then you can pick what of those benefits this person might be very attracted to, right? I think that
Right.
making sure that our recruiters are well equipped is a really important aspect of
Mhm.
having that first connection between a very good prospective candidate and the organization.
I really think so too. And just to have just a personal note here, I noticed that, a lot of candidates, they tend to focus on that number a little too much. And I know when I've been asked, what type of salary you're looking for, anytime I had to answer that question, I would say, well, I really look at the overall package. What are the benefits to working with this company in addition to salary? I think that, all goes in together because you could have a company that pays maybe a little bit more, but maybe they might not have that flexibility you need, or they might not have that type of, account like HSA, FSA kind of thing, access that you're really looking for to support your future journey or whatever you're doing next in your life or what you might need personally. So that's such an important thing for candidates to really keep in mind and really pay attention to, and don't be afraid to ask questions. In addition to obviously the recruiters making it very clear in the process.
Yeah.
So I love that. Yeah.
I would say that, you have to remember, all of us need to remember that benefits are money. If you're not receiving a particular benefit, you are you will probably have to buy it yourself. So you need to understand, the totality. I like how you put it, but sometimes we just need to remind candidates that maybe I'm not necessarily getting to where you want to be, but do you know that we offer a pension plan, or do we offer this match in the 401k plus this money that we will give you extra for this, and we will cover professional education. Professional education is a big deal, right? And it costs. So providing an awareness of all these things that you will have to pay from your own money if you didn't get it from the company, is also a good way of attracting the talent.
Exactly, and it could come down to, the candidates between 2 offers, and not only if they clearly understand the benefits, but they understand, the whole picture and they think it might be better than the other one, that could really be the deciding factor. That could be the reason you got that great talent, so that's good to hear. Definitely great strategies there, and so it's not just the recruitment process, like we said, it goes all the way to the retention process. You want that talent to come into the door and work for you, but you also want them to stay as long as they can, as long as it benefits both you, obviously, as the employer and the employee themselves. So, in what ways can organizations really leverage these benefits to maintain employee retention? And exactly how can they ensure these benefits continue to meet the evolving needs of the workforce? I know it's a hefty question because it's an evolving landscape. It's just continuously changing and updating.
Yeah, you have to stay relevant, definitely, because if not, people are going to be attracted by other employers that become more relevant. I think that there are a couple of things. You can work with your benefit providers. They have data about how employees are using their benefit. and they may help you in the communication and in the marketing, right? That they can do directly based on where people are in life. So if you see somebody that is starting to look at their 401k and trying to do some retirement modeling, maybe I mean, we don't need to know that, but you can ask your provider, okay, we want to make sure that you can communicate with that person in terms of preparing for retirement, right? Again, if you see that you have a group of people who are essentially growing their families, then maybe you do a focus on medical plan with them and remind them. So you can actually, create audiences in your from your talent group and target them with the benefits that are more relevant to them. In my prior company, our portal was updated based on some of your demographics, and the things that you saw first were the things that were probably more important to you in life. And it could be based on your demographics, but it could be also based on surveys that we do to our organization. So making sure that people are reminded of what they are mostly in need in a particular moment in their life, it's good. But also it's the continuity, is that making sure that you, again, look at those statistics, look at those
Mhm.
utilization rates. You as a total rewards professional should study what is going on with the benefits that you're providing and identify when it's time to change. Maybe it's not changing, it's not eliminating a benefit, but it's changing a vendor, because the vendor that you have, maybe it's not necessarily with the technology, and then there are more that offer uh better benefits just because their use of technology is different. So that relevancy, it's important.
Yeah, very, very important. So thank you for bringing that up. And I would love to wrap up with this question. Could you share your experience with any specific tools or platforms that SHRM offers its members, to really make sure that the strategies we talked about, remain effective when it comes to benefits?
I think that we use a variety of things, right? We definitely have our portal that is being updated every year to make sure that people can find what the benefits, can understand, can click and get to that place. The second thing that we do is that we do education throughout the year. So last year, we created a program called Grow Glow, and it was all about participating in activities related to your financial wellness or to your physical health or to your mental and energy, right? And it doesn't need to be you need to talk to a counselor. No, it's just participating in yoga, participating on meditation class. Did you do your biometrics? Can you confirm all of that? And with that game, we basically at the end of the year provided people money towards their HSA to grow their HSA savings account. So we use activities and engagement activities very tied to benefits. I like always to, if we're gonna do something for employees, let's just tie it to something that really is good for them and that remind them of the benefits that they. Finally, I think that take advantage of the moments in time, meaning moment throughout the year. Whenever there's open enrollment, focus and do virtual sessions. Education is important. Don't assume that people understand things. Make sure that they participate and that give them multiple opportunities throughout the year to learn and relearn their benefits.
All right. Thank you, Karen, so much for sharing your insights. And we loved hearing about your experience and how it applies, to this total rewards part of SHRM, and just how you can really apply this to other companies as well. We love your guidance today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Anne, for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
Great. And we have new content each week with the newsletter and our latest research on these big topics. So head to shrm.org/all things work for all that material. You can also follow us on social media. You can like, share, and even comment. We want you to be part of the conversation. That's it for this week. We'll catch you next time.
SHRM.